Hi guys, how we all doing? Long time since I've got on here, but I thought I would give you guys a bit of an update onto what I'm doing with the bike and where I'm at with it and how I'm getting along with it and any little kind of updates I've done. But first one is a big update I've done today. I've got to that point where my tyre sealant needs changing again. I've opened my stands fluid and what I've got left in the bottle has gone literally orange. If your stand starts going that colour, the latex has had it in there, it's going to be no good. So I thought, well, usually anything with the Silca brand name on, I can't afford. Silk make really nice gear, I mean really nice gear, but way outside my league. Let's just turn you around a bit. There we go. However, their tyre sealant is really well priced. It's actually cheaper than most of the competition. And apparently, it's very, very different to the competition. So what they've done is they're the first company to try and really move on into a second generation of let's say third generation, because Stans and all the other people done basic latex sealants to start with, then Stans upped it with Stans Race, and then a few other guys come along with their endurance versions with beads in and stuff to help clog up the holes quicker. So this, I'm going to call this third generation sealant. So apparently what they've done is they've realised that the issue with Stans and other sealants is the fibres clog and just end up clogging up inside in little balls. I'll actually go and get my tyre taken off in a minute to show you guys just how that happens. Stans also has the issue that it goes globby and sticks to the wall. I'll show that as well. Bizarrely, one tyre's done it really bad, the other hasn't. With this stuff, what they've done is they've gone outside the box and thought, let's start again. We get that the idea of having fibres like Stans Race is fantastic, but the fibres have to be able to move freely around and not just stick to the outside or clump up. So what they've come up with is recycled and chemically treated carbon fibre in varying sizes up to about 6-7 mil in length apparently. So again, you cannot inject this, guys, through the valve. It has to be poured in. If you're injecting it, all you're doing is putting the fluid in and leaving all the good stuff in the bottle. So don't. But actually, if this is anything like Stans Race, if you do try and inject it, it just clog up the syringe anyway and you won't get it through eventually. So you probably get a bit of fluid and it just blocks the hole. But then they've gone a step further and thought, well, the fluid is just going to the outside. So they've created a fluid, a latex kind of material that when it starts to get agitated, it froths. Therefore, the froth then lifts up all that, and trust me, this is full of carbon. You can see it in fact, let's see if I can get some out of the lid. I've been shaking it. So that's a white lid, and you can see all the carbon segments. They look like someone's just given you a haircut, and maybe it's just all the crap that goes over the back of your neck that you can never get rid of when you have your haircut. But that is carbon fibre strands recycled and put into here. So the idea is that the foam basically picks up the carbon, and because the carbon is then floating around, as soon as you get a hole, it pulls it all in together. This latex is extremely sticky. When I just inflated these tyres here, any that kind of frothed out when the tyre bangs into place, instantly just went into streams of really sticky kind of rubber around the edge that I've managed to rub off, but it's super sticky stuff. But here's another thing. 6 months from now, I don't have to tip this out and discard it. 6 months from now, I can buy what's called the stage 2, which, because obviously the carbon fibre is in there and there's a hell of a lot of it, the stage 2 of this formulation is a replenisher fluid. So you basically put in about half the fluid that you've put in there now. So I've put 2 ounces, which is roughly about 58 grams or millilitres of fluid, and I've put it in. Hang on, let me just pour a cup of tea. Happy days. I don't know what this one says. King Dad. There you go. Right, so yeah, so you then put the replenisher fluid in, and you can do that, I think, up to 2 times. So I think they're saying actually in some climates, so if you're in a cooler climate like us, you can get up to 3 attempts with it. So in theory, every 6 months, and they're saying some people might get away with it for 8 months, you just put the replenish your fluid in, half the amount of fluid. So you could, in theory, get anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years of use on your 60mm or 58mm per tyre. Which, if that's the case and this works out right, will be a big game changer, especially if this does block, as they state, up to, they're not being outlandish, they're saying a 6mm hole up to, I think it's about 80 to 90 psi, which is actually quite favourable if you're running a 26C tyre. I will do a tyre calculation on this because I've put these on here, I've banged them up and inflated them up to 85 psi to get them into place, and that's where I've left them at whilst they seal and whilst the glue sets. And in theory, I've got the vernier gauge on these because I've used these before, so these are stretched, these tyres, they were used last summer. They are measuring 27.9mm on my digital vernier. So a 26C tyre, after, it's probably, these tyres probably have a couple, probably 1,000+ miles of use end of last summer, are now actually near a 28C. But that's also due, these are quite a wide inner rim profile. So that's where I'm at with that. I'll keep you guys updated. If I have a dramatic failure, I'll let you know. If in 6 months' time I'm like, holy crap, these things are the best things since sliced bread, I'll let you know. I've also been using nuke-proof worms on my other tyres and Stan's darts. Stan's darts were always amazing for me until the last batch I bought of 4, and they were crap. That's the only worth. Went to put them through a nice big hole that I had to use, and the feather bits kept coming off the plastic. The feather bits even look different. The first Stan's darts I brought when they first come out, the feather bits that come out were literally, I'm saying the word feathered because they were feathered at the edge. Now they're just like solid bits of fabric with no, you know, they're just like long strips that have been poked through the hole and they pull out. So I don't know what the hell's going on there with Stan's. Sort your crap out, because they were amazing. And I've had to go back to using worms. However, on the worm front, there's worms and then there's worms, and nuke-proof ones are fantastic. They're some of the best. So I'll show the hole I had in a minute on my other tyre. It was massive, and I've had to use an MTB extra large worm doubled up in it, and it's done me fine for a few hundred miles, but it does slightly still appear to be damp sometimes. So there's still a little bit of the Stan's getting around, which amazes me when you'll see how much the Stan's has done on the inside to block the hole. I've got my dog here. Roxy, say hello. And there's dog coming to say hello as well. Yeah, so the bike, where am I at with my Hurricane? Absolutely loving it. I've been riding it now for a few months. So I've now gone for a slightly longer stem. I've got the Ritchie, I don't know if I updated you on the Ritchie running gear or extra gear. So I've got the Ritchie seat post, Ritchie stem. You can't really see the seat post, it's up underneath there. I am, however, trying some different bars. I was starting to get issues with my hands, and I like to hold a certain point in the bar, and I wanted to get the Pro Carbon handlebars, the Ergo ones, but they don't seem to be making them anymore. And they are very unique around here in the way that your hands sit from the top to the hood. A friend of mine, Grant Doyle, said, Jace, I'm running the Prime Alloy ones and the top is extremely similar. It's a nice big flat area for your palms and goes straight onto the hoods. So there's hardly any reach between there to where it actually connects to the bar. Again, I'll turn you around in a minute and show you that. I'm also running the Prime bar tape, which is very similar to Lizard Skins, extremely similar, but I'd say it's a bit more tacky. In fact, it reminds me of the old Fabrique, or was it Data? One of them used to make like a sticky, what they called a sticky tape. And you can hear it there. Really nice, like a rubbery finish, very comfy on the bars. Super easy to wrap as well, really easy. I wish I'd actually continued it along further now and just thought, sod all the people who leave the aero bit of the bar kind of exposed. I'm thinking I should have just gone all the way along now for comfort. The Veil wheels still serving me really fine. The bearings are smooth as anything. The free hub is still not overly noisy. See if I can get it going. There it is in the background. Like I said, if that's my scribe in the background now, I'd have to really raise my voice over it, which is great. A lot of people love a loud wheel, but whilst that may sound loud echoing here, when you're out on the open road rolling, it's almost silent. It's just like almost like a bee noise going alongside you. Very similar to the original Chris King hubs if you go back years ago to the mountain bike scene. Yeah, so I'm back on a 105 chain set with 105 rings. I was having a bit of issue with my absolute black rings because on this frame the mech sits quite far out because it's on a band on. When the mech is in its furthest in position, even with it fully wound out on the limit screw, it was always just slightly too close to the chain because absolute black rings are moved inwards by 2mm, and that's in regards to getting the chain clear from the bolts, because obviously they're using a very, they're subcompact. So what I've had to do is I've had to go back to the standard rings for now. Eventually I would like to go back to subcompact, but I think only way I'm going to do it with a decent bottom bracket is to go the Rotor Aldo or something like that, which does the all-in-one rings that are kind of like a proprietary fit onto their crank arm, like modular, so they're all together in one, and you can go subcompact in them. But I love having a 32 to 48. It's fantastic. 48 gets you well above 50 mile an hour if you really want to down a hill, but the 32 to 34 is just awesome for a chubber like me to get up hills. And that's basically all I've done with the bike. Let me turn you around, I'll show you the bars quick. Okay, so prime bars, there's been loads of people on YouTube using these, but no one tends to go on to the ergonomics. Now, if you use their lines that are on here, their lines are set way too low. Their lines would have this hood down here, when actually, when you look at these bars, they come out here, and then they're cut in here into a big flat palm area, which actually goes straight onto the hood really nicely. So I don't know if you can see. Let's try getting this to focus. There you go. So when you're sat there, you can see your hand just rests in nicely. Also, the nice fat top, I quite often ride open fingered, just sitting on top of the bars, and I find them fantastic for that. But like I said, I wish I hadn't gone all fashion conscious, and I wish I'd just gone all the way along to the end. I'm still running my Bolt 2, and I've got a nice little moon flasher there for the daytime. The ring, oh yeah, I don't know if you saw that. I love a bit of Pac-Man, so I've got a Pac-Man stem cap. So that's the WCS edition, and I've got the seat post to match. Still running Ryan's fantastic radar mount on the back, and my Hope bits and bobs. The Rotor chain catcher down there. Oh yeah, and I swapped pedals over. Forgot about that. There you go. So they're the Wahoo Speedplay pedals. Giving them a go at the moment because I was having a few little issues with my heel and not being able to stop my heel hitting the frame and other things. But other than that, she's all the same. Still running the TRP spheres, the Carbon SLC version. Love them to bits. And I don't know if you can see in there, but they are DT Swiss organic. They are meant to be green, but they're dirty. And my 26C Pirellis, which actually measure out to be a 28 now. They're stretched a bit. Right, okay, so I said about the tyres at the beginning. Here you go. This is my 30C Pirellis. Now, this is the inside of the tyre. Now, you can see, the fibres, the stance fibres. Then you can see where there's areas where it's bunched up and then stuck to the side. Now, this is a front tyre that's had, as far as I'm aware, 0 punctures. So a few people will be like, oh, Jace, how can you tell if it's had 0 punctures or not? Because, it's not always visible. Well, there's a good reason. Look at that one. And then look at this one. So this is one where I've had punctures on. And then obviously I've had to use at the roadside I used a CO2 because that's all I had on me. Funny enough, my biggest puncture wasn't the puncture that made me use the CO2. When I had the CO2, it was just tiny little black forms stuck in. But obviously, as I was riding, it was tagging it and pulling it, and it just wasn't sealing enough because every time whatever it was moved, I'm pretty sure it was a black form or chunk of wood anyway, it opened up again. So I ended up with about 30 psi now, which for me is too bouncy, and I had to use a CO2. CO2 withstands or any sealant other than muck off. Hang on, I need some of this. Oh, cup of tea. Right. Basically reacts. Now, don't believe all the crap. You'll hear people saying, oh, it freezes it. It doesn't bloody freeze it. It's a chemical reaction. So CO2 is obviously a different gas to what we have out here, or what you would be pumping in with your pump. CO2 with certain sealants turns it globby like this. It turns it into a weird rubbery texture. So if you're using Stands or Orange Seal or most of the other sealants other than muck off, and you have to use CO2 at the side of the roads, as soon as you use CO2, and then if you're going down the road and you see a garage, pull over, let all the air out, and then inflate it at the garage with the air compressor, standard air. Or if you've got a mate who's got a really good pump, use the CO2 to get it all sat back up on the rim if you're running tubeless. Roll down the road a bit, let the it do its job and seal. Then when you get down the road, let the air pressure out slowly so that you don't pop off the rim, so the bead stays up there, and then use a hand pump, put standard air back in, and you won't have this issue. But this was me 25 miles home, let the air out, reinflated it with my track pump, and this was the issue. Here you go, clumps. So that could have been sealing a hole, but I don't think it was. I think that is the fibre. That's Stands race fibres, and what happens to it when it's inside a tyre. However, I ran over a green bottle, but the bottom base of it with a big jagged bit of glass stuck up, and as you can see there, this is the hole that was massive, and it sealed it. It sealed it, but only just enough to get me home, and it was basically bleeding out the hole. So that is a nuke-proof big worm. That was my fallback after all 4 darts failed because they fell apart. However, if you want to see what's happened on the inside, so obviously whilst I was riding along, the Stands race, look at that. The Stands race obviously tried to seal it, which is why it was just dribbling for such a big hole, and that's all the fibres around. And obviously you can see why I've pushed it apart, where I've put the nuke-proof repair through. But if I pull this off, can you hear that? Look at that. This is still slightly bleeding out. So there's the nuke-proof repair, look. So there's the worm. See if I can pull that out. See if we can get this through, look. There you go. So there's the nuke-proof bung. So that's what was sticking out. That's the size. There you go. You can actually see the shape of the hole. So it was a long cut, big old hole, and then you can see the sealant all the way around. It's trying to help seal it there. But if we look at the actual hole on the inside, it was a big one. Now, I actually had a mate who could, if he watches this, could tell you, I hit the glass and I was like, crap, I heard a ka-ching, and I was like, that's gone through. He come up behind me and I'm like, Matt, am I spraying sealant everywhere? He had a look. He's like, no, Jace, you're not. I was like, what? How have I got away with that? Obviously, I hadn't got away with it. The reason he didn't see much sealant everywhere is because my bike, as per usual, was so muddy that all the sealant went into the mud on the frame. So when I went to wash the bike next, I was peeling like long strips of glued mud off the bike. It made it actually very easy to clean because it's just like peeling. If you ever done your copy decks on the hand at school, it just peeled off like that. And I was like, okay. I did have a massive hole. That's when I went and invested in fat. Oh my God, I am actually seeing daylight through that hole. that's how big it was. So the fact that Stan's Race did seal that is pretty impressive. And if this is the next step on from Stan's Race, in which case what's meant to happen is that this is meant to actually bung this up so well, it is a permanent repair and you don't need. So for a whole lot of that, I'm meant to not be able to, you know, I don't need to rely on something like this. I will be mightily impressed. That's still impressive. To me, that's a thumbs up and a win for Stan's Race. However, that ain't a win for Stan's Race, because that means that if you want to clean this tyre up, it will take you for bloody ever to get that off. I've tried latex destroy, I've tried all sorts on this. I think it was Muckoff who made the stuff you meant to spray on, but I can't believe that hole. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. So quite an impressive big hole that, and very impressed that Stan has filled it. But look how much fibre it's taken to fill that. Obviously, all that fibre was built up before I then went and ruined that by sticking through a big bung. But I'm not sure how much longer that bung would have lasted, because I think what's been happening is the bung's been slowly getting pushed through under pressure, and then I've just been wearing it on the roads. So I'm not sure if eventually that would have, I don't know, because it's made quite a nice, I don't know if that's going to fit, it's made quite a nice kind of wedgy shape through the hole. But I've been riding that with that in now for well over a month and a half. So yeah, there you go. Right guys, nice speaking to you. I've gone on far too long. Sorry that it's another 20-minute video. I will give you an update on the Wahoo Speedplays. I completely forgot that I had them on there. I've had Wahoo before and I had issues with their bearings being absolute dog crap and wearing out constantly and needing constant greasing and constant attention. Apparently they've solved that problem. If they have, bargain. If not, that really annoy me even more. But there you go. That's where I'm at, guys. Oh, one other thing, I am doing Ride London this year for Prostate Cancer UK again. If you guys fancy sponsoring me, there'll be a link below. I would really appreciate it. All the guys on my Facebook page and a few friends and family and neighbours have already got me up over the £300 mark. So actually, I've only got 200 to find, and that's their kind of what they like people to hit. Guys, ride safe. Catch you all soon. Take care.